Hi guys, welcome from Pax Europiana, this time again from Frankfurt, the financial hub of Europe and the headquarter of the Eurozone. Here this beautiful sign of the Euro. It's a little bit, some people criticize the Euro. I love it, yeah. They should renovate this monument and make it even bigger because it's well deserved. It's a tool of prosperity, of unity, and here in the headquarter of the Eurozone in Frankfurt, the financial capital of Europe, I call again for the enlargement of the Eurozone. And I call for all countries who want to be seriously in the European Union and contribute, like Sweden and Denmark, but also for the countries who want to receive our subsidies, like Hungary, like Czech Republic, like Poland, to join the Eurozone. And most of all for Romania to join the Eurozone together with Croatia and Bulgaria, which are already on track to do so. That's very important. That's the most important project for Europe. It's not climate change, it's not Afghanistan, it's the unification, the spirit of unification, the reality of having a common currency. This is the most important project for now. And for the coming decade, we should be finished in the mandate of Ursula von der Leyen. And now in the speech for the State of the Union, I call for Ursula von der Leyen to enlarge the Eurozone and make pressure on Hungary, on Poland, on the Czech Republic to join the Eurozone fast, but also mention Denmark and Sweden to join the Eurozone and also to do everything what it needs to get especially Romania in the Eurozone now and do it in this year to convince the Romanian authorities because their pro-European coalition is again on the brink of collapse for rule of law issues, and we in the European Union, we do too much rule of law, which is very difficult to assess and very little substance of regulatory basis and fundament of your regulatory basis we have in the EU, but we do too less economics and too less euro, and that's a big mistake. So pressure and incentives for Eurozone enlargement. And this is the way also for the Eurozone itself to get more meaningful, is more members. And that's the logic of a bigger market. And that's the whole logic of the European project. Let's never forget, we have some inflationary trends now. So more input factors, more people, more good, more land, more countries is the way to reduce inflation. It's quite economically, logically for everybody, but that's the way to do it. Now let's come to the Eurozone and not enlargement alone, but also the adoption of the Euro. I call very much for, and intensively, and that's important for this year, for Albania, for North Macedonia, for Bosnia to adopt the Euro on the same basis like Kosovo and Montenegro have done it successfully 20 years ago. Kosovo is today as successful as Georgia at 4,200 GDP per capita because Georgia is devaluating always and Kosovo is on a firm fundament. Much better for the people, much better for the businesses, much better for the country, much better for the international investors, much better as well for the European taxpayers supporting these countries. So this is very important. Then I call as well for the enlargement countries of the so-called enlargement trio. They have formed now in 2021, excuse me, in Batumi. That's Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia. Adopt the Euro. So we have 6. And then the most important, obviously, is then the euro as the tool for peace. It is logically that we should, as EU, offer officially by a council resolution, by a parliament resolution, the euro for Serbia in case of recognition of Kosovo. So that's a very important step. If they reject it, we have all the reasons to grant NATO membership for Bosnia and Kosovo. And it's fine as well, and we contain hostile Serbia in that case because they have rejected us. But if they don't, then it's of course the tool which can calm the middle class emotions and negative reaction there will be from the nationalists anyhow in case of Kosovo recognition. So the euro is something everybody feels in Serbia and everybody benefits. On the issue of benefit, let me reiterate, Lithuania has been at the same level of prosperity like Poland 10 years ago in 2012. Lithuania joined the Eurozone, Poland stayed outside. Now Poland and Lithuania are significantly different and Lithuania is significantly richer. GDP per capita at 17,500 in euro and Poland at 15,000. Yeah? So it's 2,500 euros difference. That's huge. Imagine if Poland would be as rich as Lithuania GDP per capita, which it could be in the Eurozone. That means 120 billion GDP more for Poland and for all Europe. I mean, these are decisions which really matter. They are of significance. 120 billion is the GDP of whole Ukraine today. Yeah, only the decision to join the Eurozone would yearly add this GDP to Europe. Over time a little bit, it takes some adjustment, but when you see how much the differential is now between Lithuania and Poland, it is so significant all over. It's 500 billion which we lost only by peace, by this whatever kind of nationalistic populist movement which have blocked the Eurozone membership of Poland. And also when you see our geostrategic situation, Russia would be impressed. You know, Poland and Romania are their former territories partially. If they are in the euro, and of course if Ukraine euroizes, this is a huge geostrategic plus for the EU. We are much more significant in the eyes of Russia and also in the eyes of China, who is of course more economically interested. A common market, a bigger market, that's what also Mr. Xi will notice. And even for our American friends and allies, which we love very much, and we have really, the whole of the European project is a copy of America. And we deserve a lot of credit for everything and for the support. But also they don't take us very seriously, because we are not very seriously to be taken at the moment. But with this kind of policy I propose now, the Eurozone enlargement, the Euro adoption, all these countries which I mentioned, the Euro is a tool for peace for Serbia, and then the 6 countries to Euro adopt, 7 with Serbia, that's 7 countries, and also Denmark, Sweden 2, then the Free Visegrad 5, and then of course Romania 6, and Croatia and Bulgaria anyhow coming now. So that's 6 countries inside the 5, 6, and then it's 6. Now it's 7, 13 countries plus, and we have 19 plus 2 already. So we are then at 35, and that's more significant than 19 plus 2. Kosovo and Montenegro I call the plus 2. So that means a lot. And that means also that we are more serious for America, for China, for Russia, and you know, if you want, also for India, but for the other big powers to be of the 21st century. Then Europe is significant and has a European role to play, a global role for the Euro, some people talk. But just with the Western European economies alone, we are obviously not able to do it. With Eastern Europe fully in the Euro, it will be like that. And it's not the Eastern Europeans or the other Europeans who are not in the Eurozone who are the problem. It's the European, Southern European high-debt countries, Austria included, which are the problem in terms of debt. Of course, that's maybe a little bit, disheartening for my friends from Eastern Europe to join the Eurozone. So we should also remind all of them that they get massive subsidies also from Western Europe. So from Northwestern Europe, from Germany, Austria, and also from the whole of the European Union, obviously. So let's not divide Europe, but unite it. We have the Euro as a tool for unity. We have it as a tool for peace. We have it as a tool for prosperity. Now in the crisis we managed with this kind of recovery fund, with the solidarity, to avoid a lot of crises. Now Italy is on the reform path, Greece is stabilized in the Euro. We think all the very complicated crises of the past we are ready to overcome. And now it's time for Eastern Europe in the Euro, and also for Northern Europe. Never forget the Swedish and the Danish. But very much what matters geostrategically, the most important decisions, and the most easy one is Romania. Poland obviously is much more difficult, but I call on Mr. Tusk now in this kind of effort. He is coming back to lead the opposition for victory, to use the Euro as tool and show everybody in Poland how rich Lithuania is now and how this last decade has cost very dearly to the Polish taxpayers and people in terms of lost prosperity, 500 billion. Less than it is possible over 10 years. So the GDP of Poland could be easily not 600 but 720 in the case of joining the Eurozone. Within 5 years after that, it will be certainly much increased. And that's of course the convergence factor. It's also a tool of equality, of convergence. It makes the middle class richer. And it gives also the prosperity to support the poorer people in the welfare systems. And if you look at the German real estate prices, and if you see the Austrian real estate prices, that's I think the proof of the situation. it has massively improved. Yeah? And of course, there's a big debate that it's unaffordable rents, but it's also people who have this property. The property owners have massively, significantly seen improvements in the last decades because of the euro, and that's also very good. Good. I think I'm very clear. Should I further develop how many countries? No. Why it's very important, I would like to reiterate here in the heart of the European continent, and you see these beautiful skyscrapers. In a way, it also has deserved the title Manhattan, this kind of New York style city. It is because we need a unifying project. NATO enlargement is a bit blocked because of the appeasement. EU enlargement is, of course, political unification requires a lot of additional unity. Of course, Macedonia, Albania and Montenegro are ready for that, but will they be accepted? That's another issue. But the euro enlargement, and here is possible, and here comes my argument also historically. We did it the same way in the big compromise between Mitterrand and Helmut Kohl to allow German unity. It was the euro first. Political unification was far away in Maastricht. It took us 20 years to further unionize, and we are still far ahead from where we should be it would be necessary to be successful, united as a global actor. We are far from that, as we have seen in Afghanistan and everything. But we have achieved economic unification in these 19 countries at least. And we could use it as a tool for peace in the case of Kosovo and also Montenegro, and also for the stability of the currencies in Macedonia, Bulgaria and Bosnia, where they all have a euro peg, obviously. Let's not forget that. So that's really the way forward, and that's what we have done all the time. And we have to connect again with the more successful 1990s and 2000s, because the last decade was not the successful decade, because we were too hesitant, we waited too long, we have made a lot of we didn't make a lot of decisions which we should have made in terms of enlargement and unity, and so we are like divided from our enemies, and they are of course exploiting that. So that's basically the point in Eurozone enlargement. And I call Mrs. von der Leyen now in her speech for the State of the European Union, the big center stage performance she will have on the 15th of September 2021 now, in just 10 days, or 9 days, 8 days. It is time to focus on that. Because the Green Deal she has sold already. And as she has no other kind of big issue, she is then every speech then reducing, increasing the pressure on the businesses and on the consumers to further reduce CO2, and it's getting ridiculous. 55 now, fit by 55, 56, 58, no CO2 by the end of the... while we are actually importing more Russian gas, more Russian coal and more Russian uranium. And that's of course not the idea. Because if the Green Deal gets a subsidy system for Russia, then it of course must be opposed. There is no doubt about it. Because the idea is to reduce our dependency from Russia for strategic reasons. And we want to be a stronger union, therefore the Russians and the Chinese should take us more serious. So just the Green Deal will not deliver that. And our geostrategic performance is anyhow miserable, from Afghanistan to Iraq to Belarus, which we just subsidized with 1 billion, and so on and so on. So we are absolutely not so great. So what we can achieve, nevertheless, is the economic integration. And we can do that, as I've outlined, by the currency. And it's a very important tool anyhow, and it's the tool for peace, for prosperity, the firm fundament. And now let me say thank you very much here from Frankfurt. And adopt the euro, join the Eurozone and get going. And that's the way for peace. Thank you. Bye.